The Florida Gators lost to the Missouri Tigers, basically at the buzzer, and it sucked. But we're gonna talk about that. And Saturdays are for feeling. We're gonna talk about it here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy Saturday, I guess. Maybe not happy, but I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. That was a heart stopper. There's no other way to put that one. I was legitimately I was legitimately standing up in my living room. I get the house to myself tonight. So I was standing up in my living room and I was like hands on my knees, leaning over. It was ridiculous. Florida loses 33-31. Chat, you guys know how that you guys know how it goes by now. I'll get to the chat in the second half of this, but this game it's weird because it sucked to lose the game. I'm pissed at how they lost the game. I'm not as hurt as I think a lot of people are. I'm not as hurt as I think I should be, maybe. I don't know. It's not a moral victory. Like, I want to point that one out. I'm not like, you fought, that's all that matters, because it's not. I will say, and I've said this before, where Florida Gators fans may have written off this program, this team, Billy Napier. The media may have written off this program, this team, and Billy Napier. But if this game proved anything, if this game proved a single solitary thing, it's that the players have not given up on this program or this team or Billy Napier. And again, I know that's not what anybody wants to hear. You lost the football game. Like that's let's acknowledge that you lost the football game. No one's happy about that. Even if you almost won it, nobody's happy about that. Okay? But I think it's important to acknowledge that, yes, for all the fan talk, all the media talk, all the talk where everybody is just like, it's over. You know, the team is done for. These players are working their asses off for Billy Napier, for Albert, for that Gator logo. For that Gator logo that's right here. It's just out of reach. But right here, right behind me, that's what it is. But when it comes down to it, a lot of things led to this loss. Hell, I'm not going to pin it on Graham Mertz because honestly, what Max Brown did was baller. Like, I'm not going to say losing Graham Mertz is why Florida lost this game. It might be because you look at that drive where he got hurt, and that was the drive where Max Brown then fumbled the handoff to Montreal Johnson, and then Missouri scored a touchdown immediately after. So maybe you could say that. However, you can also say that this team doesn't fight back. This team doesn't fight back without Max Brown, because Max Brown's legs opened up this offense. Max Brown just having enough faith to go, F it, Khalil Jackson is down there somewhere, is huge for this game. It was. Graham Mertz, I don't think, would have done that. Not saying that Max Brown is better. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that you can't go, oh, because Florida lost Graham Mertz is why they lost this game. Because that's not real. Like, you can't say that. But this team, I mean, a lot of things led to this loss. You look at, I want to go back to the drive where Florida kicked the field goal to score 33 and take the 2-point lead there. Because to me, That's more what lost you the game. That third down play, and I'm not pitting this on Trevor Etienne. However, you have to have the awareness there to go, okay. And also, if the coaching staff did not tell the offense, hey, whoever gets the ball, go down inbounds, that's on them. Trevor Etienne, you have to go down inbounds there. Missouri's got one timeout. You go down inbounds there, and they burn their timeout that they won't have on the offensive possession at the end there, and they call a different game entirely. I see someone say, who's calling plays now? Certainly not Billy Napier. Here's an important part that we talked about it in the Locked On Gators Discord, which the link's in the description below. You can also join the subtext where we talk about it. The link's in the description below. That one is free for 2 weeks and then $5 per month, and it's really the only way you're going to get me one-on-one. But when we talk about who's calling plays, Billy Napier calls a ton of these plays. They just executed way better tonight. The reverse to Ricky, yeah, the first time we saw that was against Eastern Washington last year, and it's been a relatively consistent part of the game plan. The big catch to from Graham Mertz to Hayden Hansen, that's been something that, especially in recent weeks, they've broken out more. So this isn't like this offense didn't go nuts or anything. It opened up when Max Brown came in because you had the dual threat quarterback, but things didn't change too much. They just played better. That's really all it came down to in terms of the offensive play calling and execution. But you look at that drive where Trevor Etienne went out of bounds. Can't do that. I don't care if you take a knee at that yard line, right at the sideline. I don't care about that. You can't go down. You can't go out of bounds. That one's just unacceptable. And I'm sure that in film, they're going to maybe not rip into Etienne for it because he was so integral to getting in those positions anyway. But I'm sure they're going to be like, hey, man, that can't happen. Then you look at the defense. And first 3 plays on that last drive were great. Or not, sorry, the second through 4th play it was, because I think the first play they converted, whatever it was. That part wasn't great. And then you look at that back-breaking 4th and 17, and you don't cover the best guy on the team. You don't cover the 1,000-yard receiver. Like that's the thing that blows my mind. You went, who's the best guy? Don't get him. No, that drove me crazy. I will also say I would have lost my mind if on that last drive it was Jalen Kimber breaking up a pass, Jason Marshall playing great coverage, and then an incompletion on 4th down to win the game. I would have lost my you-know-what. But it comes down to, and look, I get Austin Armstrong. I think that 4th and 17. I think that play call was okay. I don't necessarily mind the play call. I don't know whose fault that was. I know that it was one of 2 players, or I can assume it was one of 2 players in either Manny Nunnery or Jaden Hill. I would think it's one of those 2 guys. They were the 2 in the vicinity. Manny kind of shifted to the more middle of the field, and Jaden Hill was kind of in no man's land. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it was his responsibility to be there. But yeah, so I don't know whose fault it necessarily was. I will say personally, 4th and 17, probably, if someone said 2 DBs standing around watching the ball, it was 34, so it was a linebacker. But I would probably say 4th and 17, I'd probably bring a little bit of pressure. Like I'm fine there if you go, hey man, like we're gonna play cover 1 over top. We're gonna come off the field, like we're gonna back way off like 15 yards. We're gonna play cover 1, and we're just gonna send the rest of the players. And you're not gonna have time to get these guys 4th and 17 to get 17 yards downfield. You're gonna have to make a throw, and a big time throw, and a tight window throw. And we're going to make you do that. We get it. You're a good quarterback, but we're going to make you do that. They didn't do that. I understand it, because if they blitzed and they converted, you still, like, everybody still would have been mad. Not to give anybody a pass there. It's also hard for me to go, hey, Austin Armstrong played a crappy game when Missouri got into the red zone multiple times and came away with field goals. And I get it. Harrison Mevis hit the Gators chomp at the end. I don't care. But I mean, look, you look at a couple of big plays there, and it changes everything. After the fumble, the 77-yard play, which was again, it was Jordan Castell's fault. Jordan Castell, I don't mind if you run in, if you're in coverage and you run in at the QB. I don't mind that. I mind hesitating and then jogging. I don't think you should go, like if you're running in, you run in. If you're not, then you drop back. Like it's as simple as that. But I mean, Cody Schrader was destroying this defense in the first half. Big yardage numbers. Finished with 148. Simple as that. You look at, I mean, Luther Burden, 2 or 3 catches, 51 yards there. Like it was, again, it was a rough game. It sucked. It hurt. We'll get into the chat now because I see you guys talking a lot. I'm not going to acknowledge some of the stuff that's just like, fire everybody, win! Like that's not what I care about talking about. Like we'll talk football. We'll feel because that's what Saturdays is for. Saturdays are for feeling. But we're not going to cry about it too much. But before we get to the chat, before we get you guys involved with passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings home the winning trophy. And it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. Speed, power, style, like Trevor Etienne, Montrell Johnson, Ricky Pearsall. Yeah, with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your parts guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. And also, next week, last home game of the season for the Florida Gators, hosting the Florida State Seminoles, which you have a better shot at now. Like your offense is opened up a little bit with Max Brown and Jordan Travis very unfortunately got injured. Like I understand that, it gives the Gators a better chance of winning. I don't care. I was a fan of Jordan Travis. I've been open about that for years. But that's a week away from today, and Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price, and if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 with Game Time. So download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. And now let's get back into feeling, because this is, it hurts at some points. I'm going to go all the way to the top of this, or as high as it'll let me go, and go, tough loss, team's close. Look, that's one thing where we talk about, like this team being young and all the stuff. We're like, oh, like they're not good enough. Maybe, but again, like this team shows important factors. I get it. You can't just go, well, they show grit and that's enough for me. But they show grit, they show promise. Like they've never given up. Even my own Discord server, when people are like, I'm shutting off the TV, this team is like, all right, bro, like F it, we ball. And they continue to fight back. So I will give them absolute credit for that. Now get some better players that fight hard as hell. And hey, I'm just saying, we're back in business. Pace that they let them get the 4th and 17. No Urban Meyer. Why no field goal before halftime? So no field goal before halftime because you were supposed to go for a field goal. They were trying to get into field goal range. And then Graham Mertz with the intentional grounding took them out of range. 3rd and 18. Expect a run at that point. Like Billy's not going to try to throw a deep ball there. Maybe lead to a big return, a momentum change or anything. Billy ain't doing that. So once they got the intentional grounding, we kind of knew, okay, they're getting it. Because at that point you were at like the 50 and your odds are you're not converting that. Great run, but way out of range still. You were looking at mid 60s at that point, if I'm not mistaken. So I think, yeah, at that point, I hate it, but I understand it. That's my, or not even that I understand it. I hate it, but I accept that that's going to be the thought process at that point. Maybe play both QBs next week. Ryan, I got some bad news. I don't think Graham Mertz is going to be playing next week. Arm in a sling. I think we're looking at Max Brown versus Rodemaker with Florida State. Gonna be a rough one. Heartbreaker for sure. Team has fight. Hell yeah. No moral. Exact. That's the approach to have, Danny. No moral wins, but like we could still be proud of the way that this team fought. I get it. I'm not happy that they lost. I'm not like, well, yeah, you went to the wire with number 9. No, but I'm happy as hell that this team shows fight consistently. And I get it. Like people for the next few days, you're gonna be like, fire everyone, decommit. I get it. However, you deal with the loss how you deal with it. I'll deal with the loss how I deal with it. Now I deal with it is, yeah, loss sucked, but I'm still going to acknowledge the positives out of it because I think that's what you should do. Whether you win or lose, you should acknowledge the positives and the negatives. Is it any happier in here? I don't know what that means. All the stupid penalties too. Yeah, you look at that first half, those first like 3 or 4 drives after the scripted first drive, and those penalties that kept killing you. You don't screw up there, you win this game. Like defense isn't great, but going into halftime, you're down 13-7 against a high octane offense. Like your defense did their job, even if they gave up yards. They gave up field goals, not touchdowns, which is big there. Billy Napier's one lousy as coach. If you think that, sure, that's fine. I think jury's still out for me personally. I'm not going to commit to anything. How do you knock it down in bounds? Yep. Need to chill. The players are playing hard. Sign of the times. Players giving effort. Such a rarity. I mean, in Gainesville, hell yeah, it is. We operate much better with the dual threat. Really, true. Like look at just the surrounding talent. Like the run game got way better just from having a dual threat out there. Again, I'd still start Graham Mertz over Max Brown. And I will say, Locked On Gators has always been pro Max Brown, but I was never Max Brown should start. But I will say, Locked On Gators, we've always been pro Max Brown here since the day he committed to Florida. So there's that. We will say that. Yep. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's just, we lost because of that 4th down. We lost because of the timeout. We lost because of this. I get it. Like, all of the frustration for Austin Armstrong, I get it. Like, it's yes. Kyle, I see you asking, was Rob Sale calling plays? No, that's just the commentators say that almost every week. Almost every week they talk about Rob Sale calling plays. It's that. But yeah, I will say that because I see people, there's a lot of people asking about Austin Armstrong. I understand being out on him. Like I understand being out on Austin Armstrong. Again, I'm not, just because I'm not the type to do that early. He does need to make sense. Like, I'm closer to being out on Austin Armstrong than I am to being out on Billy Napier. Did we get that? So I think that, yeah, that's Austin Armstrong needs to improve. I think he coached one of his better games in a month and a half, probably tonight. I think that the game plan early on was pretty solid. Like, it was basically just blitz the hell out of people. I know someone who has helped build things. The team hasn't digressed. First off, you mean regressed? And no, they haven't. They've genuinely gotten better in recent weeks. It's just you're still losing games. But for the Austin Armstrong thing, I spoke to someone who is very in tune with Austin Armstrong's scheme specifically, and I said, "Hey, what do you call it if it's a creeper?" So creeper means that you blitz a non-traditional pass rusher and you drop the same number of traditional pass rushers in coverage. So if you blitz one off-ball player, you drop one basically defensive lineman into coverage. I said, what do you call it when you blitz both the boundary cornerback and your nickel? And you have your jack and your D end drop into coverage. And the response I got was corner and nickel. And I said, yes, that's exactly what they did. And he said, I call that crazy. Like that was the like Austin Armstrong. I get it. The end of the game sucked. For a good portion of this game, the game plan was sound. You look at Cody Schrader's 47-yard touchdown run, I think it was Taraja Mitchell not filling his run fit correctly. He went to like the A gap. He was supposed to have the B gap. Jalen Kimber was wrapping around on a blitz, I believe. I think it was supposed to be a delayed blitz, or just making sure that it wasn't a play action. And Cody Schrader went right through the B gap, and it was a touchdown there. But hey, I get it. It sucks, right? It sucks. Florida Gators maybe bowl eligible. You got to face Florida State, but you get them at home. Your offense looks like it's got a little juice back to it. If your defense can make some plays against Rodemaker, maybe. As always, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's how it is in Gator Nation. But thank you so much. It will never get lost on me that it's 11:45 p.m. Eastern time, and there's 150 people in here. Never going to get lost on me that this is a job, and it's ridiculous that it is a job. But thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. We'll be back Monday. Don't forget, today, Saturday, is for feeling. Okay, Saturdays for feeling. Yeah, Matt, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all Monday.